and thank you for joining us for the Exhibit Design Search tutorial. I'm Mel White, and, and I'm joined by Gina Porcaro and Harold Mintz. Please feel free to introduce yourselves in the chat as well. Just so you know, we'll be moving very, very quickly today. There's a lot to cover, and as my dad used to say, hold on to your dentures, Grandma. I'm stomping on the gas pedal. Our goal for this webinar is to transform you into an exhibit design search expert in about 50 minutes. By the end, you'll be able to search and share designs with clients in record time. One qualifier, however. While exhibit design search is classic, classic is much more than EDS. As a private label designer and builder, we work on trade show exhibits, corporate environments, and retail displays that may or may not have originated in EDS. Those designs may eventually be added to EDS, which is one of the benefits of being part of our distributor network. All right, let's jump in. Your questions are welcome and encouraged. Please enter them into the chat and we'll answer them as we have time. Some of you are already familiar with exhibit design search, but for those who are not, let's review the big picture. First, EDS is a comprehensive online catalog of trade show designs, products, and services. There are 33 galleries, over 1,500 designs, 15,000 photos, and 93 trade show marketing articles. In addition to classic products, EDS features 6 trade show industry suppliers, and we'll get to that here in just a bit. EDS includes detailed descriptions, rendering, setup instructions, and graphic DIMs. It also includes audio clips, videos, and unbranded product sheets. All the galleries are priced in retail or MSRP. That's a very important distinction. Everything in EDS, whether it's a classic gallery or it's a vendor partner gallery, all those prices are in retail. There's no wholesale prices in EDS. Finally, EDS is not an e-commerce site, which means at some point you and your client will have to talk, email, text, or actually meet in person to complete the transaction. And those are all good things. All right. From the beginning, Exhibit Design Search was intended to be a one-stop shop where distributors and clients could review exhibits, accessories, games, flooring, rental furniture, and even lighting options. The goal was to make it simple and convenient for your client and to maximize your sales opportunity. As you know, there is much more to an exhibit sale than just the display. To accomplish those goals, Classic invited other industry suppliers to participate in EDS as invisible partners. And when I say invisible, I mean not to you, but to your customer. Those partners supply products or services that Classic doesn't sell, but are important to any trade show transaction. Of the 33 galleries in Exhibit Design Search, Classic represents 25 of those galleries. All right, so let's kind of do a quick overview of what those galleries are, all right? There are categories like modern, inline, and island exhibits, and you can see there's island exhibits, inline. These are more upscale, more higher priced inlines and islands. You have LED light box exhibits, light box and banner stands, rental island exhibits, rental inline displays, EcoSmart or sustainable islands, and EcoSmart sustainable inlines. There's also um, 3 categories of portable displays, starting with 10 by 10s to larger inlines and budget portables, in addition to tabletop displays. There are counters, pedestals, and kiosks, which are organized into custom counters, modular and portable counters, EcoSmart counters, sustainable counters, and rental counters and accessories. In addition, there's charging tables, iPad and Surface stands, monitor stands and kiosks, and overhead and hanging signs. All right, so let's talk about the partner galleries there. And and you see there are 8 galleries there. So let me talk about those just for a second. Those 6 partner galleries have 8 galleries within here. And those galleries all have a designation within there. And I'm going to kind of show you another image here really quick. All right. So these are the partner galleries that are part of Exhibit Design Search. There's DS&L, which has one gallery, which is the lighting gallery. CORT has two galleries, which is rental furniture 1 and 2. Pop Shop, which is touchscreens, kiosk, and LED tiles. Taylor has basically table throws and pop-ups and other kind of banner stands, those type of products. There's a gallery for Captello, which is games, activations, lead capture, and finally Brumark, which is flooring. So let me emphasize again why those galleries in there, because Classic doesn't produce everything that you and your client need for a trade show. Again, we invited these 6 partners into Exhibit Design Search so that you were able to show all those products, a comprehensive view of all the products that your client would need. The client obviously needs flooring. Hopefully they need rental furniture. They may have needs for a pop-up that Classic doesn't sell. They may need touch screens. Now, in all of those galleries, the thing that makes it a little different in those galleries, and I'm going to go back to EDS here just for a second, is whenever you need to order any of those products in those galleries, you're going to reach out directly to those vendors. So why is that? The reason you're going to do that is because it doesn't make any sense for you to buy those products directly from Classic because we're going to do a markup. We want you to have the smoothest path to a transaction and the most economic path to that. So if you're interested in a touchscreen kiosk or LED tile within that particular gallery, which is a Pop Shop one, you're just going to reach out directly to Pop Shop itself and order that product from them. What you want to do, though, is you want to let them know that you're a Classic Exhibits distributor. Some of them have additional or special pricing as a result of your connection with Classic. All right. So one of the things that I want to point out by going back to here that you'll notice is that in EDS, you don't see the DS&L logo, the CORT, the Pop Shop, the Taylor, Captello, or Brumark. What you see in parentheses is an abbreviation, and that abbreviation is your reminder as you go through EDS that when you're in those galleries that you need to order those products from those particular vendors. We do it so that that those vendors are not obvious, or at least those vendors are not visible to your clients, but they are obviously visible to you as a reminder for those particular abbreviations that are
Hey,
on there.
Mel, this
Yes.
is Harold. Do me a favor. Your arrow is about the size of a pinhead. So will you move it around in a circle around those abbreviations so people see where
Yep.
you're talking?
So
Yeah,
you're
that's
looking
good.
at CP, PS, TY, that's Taylor, TY Taylor, CT Court, BR Brumark, and then DS in lighting. And they're just simply, if there's not an abbreviation after the description of that gallery, those are all Classic galleries. All right. All right. Let's skip back to the homepage of EDS. If you're saying to yourself, this all seems pretty straightforward, Mel, you would be right. Now, here's where it gets a little trickier and a little more amazing. There are actually multiple versions of Exhibit Design Search. I'm going to show you those multiple versions just so you have an idea of how to navigate through them, not only within Classic sites, but if you're interested in the unbranded sites. So the site you're looking at right now is the Classic EDS site. It's a site that I would actually encourage you to use the least of all the EDS sites. The next site is exhibit-design-search.com. That's the URL. So exhibit-design-search.com. If you've not used that site before, please write down that URL or save it on your browser. It's an unbranded site. It's the unbranded EDS version that has prices. So exhibit-design-search. It has everything that Classic site has here, everything that's on it, but instead of having Classic branding, it has no branding. All right. The next one is a version that's one word, that's exhibitdesignsearch.com. So what's different between this unbranded version and this unbranded version, with the exception of some minor kind of user interface visuals that are on the page? The difference is if you're in this particular one and you go to a kit and you open one of the kits, you're going to see that kit and you're going to see the retail price. However, on the exhibitdesignsearch.com, if you go to that same kit in there and you open it up, there are no prices. This is an unbranded version of Exhibit Design Search that has no prices. And if that's important to you, then I would encourage you to use that particular unbranded version. If having prices is important to you and your client, then use the unbranded version. All
Mel,
right.
can I ask you a question?
Absolutely.
So most people that I speak with use the priced one. Can you give us an example of why somebody might use the unpriced one?
Some of them use the unpriced one because they feel that this is the tough one for me to answer, Harold, is that maybe they want the client to focus exclusively on design and to not worry about prices at this point. They want the prices to not somehow distract them from getting to where they need to be. Other times is their distributors want a certain markup that the price version does not give them. The price version gives them a 40% margin on it, but the unpriced, maybe they want a 50, maybe they want a higher margin, so they start with the version without prices. That way they can assign the prices they want or the retail price they want to the client.
Good example. Thank you.
Did,
That's good.
did that make sense?
It sure did. Thanks.
Oh, you're very welcome. All right, the fourth version of that is the branded version. Well, there are about 125 versions, unbranded versions of Exhibit Design Search that are out there. Um, the thing that makes those a little different is they obviously had the distributor's um, logo on it. They had the distributor's contact information on it. In many cases, we've altered the product kit number so that it reflects who they are. There's just a lot on there. Any kind of page that you're in there that says, for instance, contact us in a branded version of EDS, that information goes directly to that distributor. Anything that has to do with work with the designer, that information goes directly to them. None of that information goes directly to us. It also gives them a chance if they want to add their Google Analytics code, they can kind of track the path of what happens on their particular site. Again, I would say roughly about 60 to 70% of classic distributors have a branded version of that. If you're interested in a branded version of EDS and want the details, please reach out to Gina or Harold and they'll be happy to explain to you how that works. All right. All right, so let's go back to the classic site and let's talk about how you can search within EDS in EDS. And within EDS, there's no one single way to search through EDS. In fact, I went through it the other day, and there's actually 8 different ways to kind of search through EDS, depending on the path that you want to take. The easiest path, or at least the most direct path, is to simply search by a gallery, to go in there and say, I know my client's looking for a more upscale, modern inline display. And you're going to go into that gallery. You can see within there's 239 designs within that gallery, and you can simply scroll through the gallery that on that particular page. The other thing you can do, instead of navigating by scrolling up and down, you can use the hamburger menu here on the right. Click on the hamburger menu. That hamburger menu is going to allow you to scroll to those particular galleries as well. The reason you would use that more often is if you're within a gallery and you don't want to go back to the home page, just click on that hamburger menu and you can navigate from one gallery to another without always having to return to the home page.
Mel, catch your breath. Everybody that's listening, nobody has asked any questions yet. Remember, if you have a question or something you want clarification on, enter it in the chat side and Gina and I will see it and get Mel's attention. Okay, Mel.
All right. The other way to search is to search within a gallery. So let's go within a gallery. and we're within this particular gallery. And the nice thing about being within a gallery is you can search by a particular size. You can see there's 239 designs within this one again. But if you don't want to scroll through all the 10 by 10s, you can simply click on the 10 by 20 and it will just show you the 128 designs in here that are 10 by 20s. The other thing you can do that I think is really convenient is you can sort it by newest designs, by alphabetical, by lowest price or highest price, just a faster way to maybe get to exactly where you want to go within that particular gallery. At the same time, one of the things that makes this really convenient is, I'm going to go back a page here, is you'll notice that there's a series of icons on that page. And let me kind of talk about these icons that you're seeing here and you're seeing down below on these. Not every single one has an icon, but most do. All right. The first icon here is, you see that truck kind of with an arrow. That means it's a quick ship, which is why it's obviously under the quick ship displays, but it's an easy one. You can see that these are already kits that we built. They're already in a box or they're in a crate. They're ready to go. They simply need graphics. So we can ship these displays faster if your client is in a difficult situation and they need something very, very quickly, either as a purchase or as a rental, because we have quick ships in both. You can do that. The other thing you'll notice is an icon here, and it's an easy way, again, as you're scrolling down a gallery, you know that your client wants a backlit display. Instead of looking at every single display that's on there, you can look at the icons that say backlit. Now, is that foolproof? It's not necessarily foolproof because we can only put one icon there, and here's an example. Here's one that says backlit. Here's one that has a different icon. It actually is backlit, but we decided to prioritize a different icon. So that icon, the square with arrows going two directions, means this is a reconfigurable display. So if we go in there, you'll notice that there is a 10 by 20 version of that, and there's also an island version of that too. So that's a very fast way. If your client is interested in a reconfigurable display, they know that they want to change the size of it from show to show, it's very easy for you to kind of scroll through and find those. All right. One of the last icons is one that I just love, and it's this one right here that's rent. Now, what the rent means is that there is both a purchase and a rental version of that particular display. So if you go in and your client hasn't quite decided if they really want to purchase their display or rent the display, you can go into these particular kits and you can open it up. And the great thing about it is you can show them this is the retail price if they were to purchase the 10 by 10 here, which is $11,050. However, if they want to rent that particular display, there are two prices, and the two prices are broken down because you're renting the hardware, which is the 4558, and you're purchasing the graphics, which is $23.75. If they decide to rent that exhibit again and not change the graphics, then the rental price would simply be $45.58 because they already own the graphics. Now, the nice thing about that is if you want details about that particular rental, you can simply click on the rental link that's in there. If you click on that, it will take you to the rental kit. It looks the same. Typically, it looks the same, but there may be some modifications in there. The description may be slightly different, but you'll see that it's flipped the prices there. So now it's prioritizing the rental purchase on their rental instead of on the purchase itself. All right. So the other thing that works really well as far as showing things within EDS by with is a shortcut? No, I'm going to go back. So let's do the third search here. All right, let's go to the home. So the third search is actually kind of it's used more often by end users than it's used by distributor. It's it's drop-down menu that allows you to search by a 10 by 10, a 10 by 20, or islands by a price range. So if you go into 10 by 10 and you're looking for a 10 by 10 between 10,000 and 15,000, it's going to give you 54 designs that are within that particular price range. It typically is going to sort them by higher price to lower price within there. And once you're in there. The nice thing about this particular one, these kind of shortcuts, is it gives you an idea um, for, at least for your client, of where their budget is. If they're unwilling to share their budget with you and they look in EDS and they do searches by these ranges, they're going to tell you what their budget is based on which of these ranges they actually search for. All right. The one thing that's important about these, though, is these exclude rental designs. And there's a reason, because in the beginning, we actually included them in those searches, but it created confusion for the end user, not for distributors, but for end users, because they would search for a 10 by 10 within that particular price range, and where the purchase and the rentals were combined, the end user didn't understand the distinction, so there were many designs that were much lower priced than others, and they seemed like they shouldn't be, but they didn't recognize that those were rentals as opposed to a purchase. So we exclude those from that particular search. So if you're looking for rentals, there are other ways to search for rentals within it. The other way to search, really easy, is simply to search by display types. That allows you to search by rental islands, inlines, accessories, rapid rentals, and furniture. Now, those galleries are all there, but this is a nice drop-down way to get there. Same with portable, same with sustainable, and same for other categories within there. You can search for those particular categories without having to scroll all the way down within exhibit design search. All right. One more thing that I want to show you is you can search by photos. So there are multiple photo libraries within EDS. There's a custom exhibits gallery, a retail displays gallery if your client is interested, because we build retail displays too, and there's a rental photo gallery. The gallery you're going to use the most, though, is what's called past 5 days. So let me explain just for a second what past 5 days is. Since 2006, almost every single day, we post a photo of a project that's going through our shop. And they're shop photos. They are not show photos, but they're shop photos. We take photos of everything, but we only feature in P5D select photos of projects that are going through our particular shop. And here are some that you're seeing just within the last week. As I said before, there's about 15,000 photos within P5D that's dating back since 2006. There's multiple ways that you can kind of search through P5D to find things that you want if you're looking for photos. One of the things you can do is simply search by sizes. If you're looking for a 10 by 10 displays or any of these kind of categories in here, islands, hand sanitizer statement, folding fabric, counters and panels. You can search for all those and they will find those within P5D on a history. The other thing you can do is you can actually search by a keyword like a light box or the Symphony system. So if we do a search, for instance, on light box and submit it, it's looking for that word light box in the description, and it's going to give you every example where the word light box occurs within those particular description. Now, each page is 20 different listings, and you can see there are 28 pages of 20 listings. That's a lot to look through. So one of the things you can do is, and they're doing it in calendar order. So these are the newest versus the older ones. You can also do it as far as light boxes, change the size. There are multiple ways to kind of reduce what you're looking for in the number of those light boxes. If while you're in there, for instance, and there is a particular job that you see that you really like, and I'm going to go back to the beginning of P5D just for a second. One of the things I want to show you is you'll notice that on almost all the kits, there is an order number that goes with it. That order number is, if you say my client is really interested in this kind of decorative kind of wall that we made for a show, rather than trying to describe it to a project manager or the designer here, just give them the order number, and that's easy for us to look that order number up, and we can then replicate whatever you need there. And you'll see that order number there. The other thing is I want you to remember that order number for another reason here a little bit later. All right.
Mel, it's a good time to ask this. Tom from Brave asked, can you focus the search on exhibit details such as conference rooms, designs, kiosks, etc.? Now, you're looking at P5D. Can distributors do that same type of search in the renderings and the exhibit designs?
Yes, absolutely. And we're going to be there in 2 steps. All right.
Thanks.
All right. Thanks. All right. So let's go back to the home page. All right. I'm on the home page. And the other thing that you can do is you can search within trade show tips. Remember I told you there's 93, I think actually 95 articles that are all about trade show marketing. It's a great place if you're new to the trade show industry or your client's new to the trade show industry and they need some information about how to be a successful trade show marketer. Take them to this particular site, the trade show tips and articles on there. Things like what is a custom trade show exhibit? 10 common trade show myths, 4 basic trade show marketing tips, 10 easy ways to shine at your next trade show. The nice thing is if you go into any of these, let's say 13 common trade show mistakes, these are fairly short, concise articles about trade show marketing that you're able to save. Now, you may have noticed as I've gone through here, I've saved some of these, and we're going to talk about why I'm saving these to my gallery. Oh, I do want to show you one thing on trade show tips that I think you'll use a lot. And that has to do with standard U.S. booth regulations and types. If you have a client who's never been to a trade show, or you have someone overseas who doesn't understand North American regulation, this is a great article to send to them, either through my gallery or simply by copy and pasting the URL. This is a very concise but a good way of explaining to them. Or you have a designer who's designing a booth who hasn't ever designed a booth before. Let's say they're not part of your company and they bring, the return walls out 8 feet all the way to the wall, out to the aisle, and don't understand the difference. This is a good way of kind of saying, this is not me. This is just the way the industry works. So, as you're making those kind of changes, you're designing the booth. These are the things that you need to follow. All right,
Mel,
I'm going
can
to go
I
back.
add 3 cents in here?
Yep.
So it's easy to consider all these things that Mel's sharing with us when you're getting ready to show a prospect a new design. But let's say you just sold them that 10 by 20 and it's now a month later. A great way to not smell like a salesperson, but a partner is to go through those trade show tips. And you just sold them something a month ago, so they're not going to buy something from you today, but stay in touch with them and send them these educational articles. It just keeps you front and center, smelling less like a salesperson and more like somebody who's trying to get them to accomplish their marketing goals. Thanks, Mel.
All right. Thank you, Harold. Absolutely. All right, so let's go back to the home page, and I'm going to answer your previous question about how to search. Yes, so there is the search tool. You can use the search tool, and you can do the same thing you did in the photos. That if you're looking for light boxes, for instance, it's going to search through the entire EDS database or the galleries that you see there. It's not going to search through the article. It's not going to search through the photos, but it's going to search through that database of those galleries, and it's going to show you every example that you're going to see within light boxes on there. So it's showing what's the drop-down menu is. It's showing you some of the common ones on there. But if I hit enter on there, it returned 199 designs that all have light boxes associated with them at some point within there. Now, if you're thinking to yourself, that's a lot to search through, that's a lot to look at, you're probably right. Typically, you're going to use this if you're searching for a particular kit, for instance, 1, 2, 3, 4. If you're searching for a kit, or if you're searching for a particular feature. But if you're really a power user of EDS, I'm going to give you one more way to search that will blow your mind. If you click on Advanced Search, and I'm going to go back to home, I'm going to start from scratch. If you click on Advanced Search, it's kind of the window behind the window. At that point, what it's allowing you to do is you can start searching by price ranges, whatever price range you decide you want within it. You can include rentals or not include rentals in that search. You can obviously choose the booth size that you want, and it's not just 10 by 10, it's much more as far as the sections you can choose. You can do the sorts that we've seen before on there. and you can do a text search. So imagine you could say, okay, I want a price range between 5,000 and 15,000. I want it to include rentals. I want it to just be 10 by 10s. I want it to sort it by lowest to highest, and it has to include shelves. So each one of those you can put in to further narrow down your search. Now, if you want to narrow it down even more, these are all the galleries that are checked automatically. You can uncheck them all and choose just the galleries that you want to look through. For instance, if you're only looking for a portable exhibit, then you don't want to search through all of these. You just want to search through the portable categories that are out there on their maybe budget, and I would include the eco as far too, because there are lots of eco portable ones in there as well. And I'm looking at the eco smart inline. Include those and then it will only do the search of those four galleries within it. All right. This is a really powerful tool that internally our project managers use all the time, but I'm not sure many distributors use. But the project managers use it and designers use it because they want to get to, if you call them and say, I'm looking for half a dozen designs that have these features, they're not simply scrolling through EDS. They're going through advanced search. They're using this to narrow down a collection of exhibits that they can then send those exhibits to. Choose that. Instead of looking through 1,500, they've narrowed it down to 40. And at that point, they're choosing 6 or 5, and they're sending those to you. This is a great, great tool that I encourage you to use. All right. Do we
Mel?
have it? Yes.
Yeah, so a couple of questions have come through. One is actually from Mark Smith, and he is asking, when you post prep photos in your photo library, do you ask for permission to share those?
I don't, and I'm going to explain why. All right, because in a sense, I'm going to take that back. I do ask permission in the sense that there is a communal permission, and let's go back there, and let's go. And I'll start off by saying, if for whatever reason you don't want a photo posted in P5D, you just have to let us know. Let your project manager. We're happy not to do it. But here is the group agreement that anybody who uses EDS has, and that agreement is I'm using EDS along with all the other classic distributors, and I'm using it in order to sell projects out there, in order to improve my chances of really closing a deal. Now, one of the things that does that is the ability to show photos of actual kits that are out there and things that I've done. Well, the nice thing is that collectively, we've agreed as a group to share those photos so that everybody benefits from them. And as a result, yes, this may not be a project this may not be a project you sold, for instance, but this is a project that may help you, for instance, close a deal for someone who's looking for retail display. In the same way, this may be a project you sold, but it may help another distributor at some point to be able to close an order for someone who's looking for a basic 10-foot display. All right. I would say over the course of since 2006, as we've started doing these photos, there's probably maybe 15 to 20 people over that time who have said to me, I'd rather not show that design, or what they've said is, can you delay showing that design for a week or two? My client is a pharmaceutical company. They're going to a show. They don't want to reveal anything about their particular product until the actual show, and we're more than happy to do that as well. But it's always your choice. But in general, what I would say to you is that if you're benefiting from past 5 days as a sales tool, then you should also be willing to contribute to past 5 days as the distributor itself. Do you think that's a fair response, Gina?
I do. And I would just add to that, in some circumstances, like you had mentioned, we won't post photos if we are asked not to do that. So, but in the broad scope of things, most people are completely fine with us doing that. A lot of times it only comes down to potentially an NDA of some sort. So, and then the other question that we had from Kathy is, can you search by industry?
You can't, and I'm glad she asked that question because I've been asked that question before. I think that's a great, I mean, I think that's a great suggestion. And I'm going, again, it's been asked before and we didn't jump on it, but I think I'm going to jump on it this time. It's a lot of work on our end that we've got to recategorize all the photos, but I'm happy to do that. But yes, Kathy, you can't do it currently, but it's something that I promise you we'll look into and we'll see if we can do it within P5D so you can start searching by category. Great suggestion. Anything else you want to add, either Harold or Gina, before I move on to the next section?
Full
I
speed
do,
ahead now. Sorry.
I'm sorry. I do see that Tom had a follow-up question. I believe still relative to the photos, and I think you'll be touching on this, Mel. But he's saying, is there a tag function so that multiple options can be selected to narrow a collective search?
Say it again so that I understand it, Gina.
Sure. So I think this would fall into the My Gallery function.
Okay. All right.
So I believe, but Tom, we're going to go through this My Gallery feature, and if that is not addressing what you're asking, please let us know.
Well, and that's very timely because we are going to go into My Gallery right now. So I'm going to click on My Gallery. I want you to notice right up here where it says My Gallery, it says 8. I'm going to click on My Gallery. You'll notice that it is now populated to 9. And I'm going to go back out to the home page, and I'm going to go into a random gallery here in this one. And I'm also going to click where it says My Gallery here, and it'll populate to 10. And I'm going to go within a particular kit, and you'll notice that there's a link that says Add to My Gallery. I'm going to click on that, and now we're at 11. All right. So we're now in My Gallery. And if you remember nothing else from this webinar today, remember this, is each time I save something, the number on My Gallery increased. My Gallery now contains a summary of those items. We've saved renderings, we've saved photos, and we've saved marketing tips to a successful trade show marketing. And that is a way of not only saving all those, but it's also a way of sharing all the things that we've done. So I'm going to scroll down and you'll see that we've shared quite a few kits. You'll notice that we've saved photos, and at the bottom, we've saved some articles. All right. So kits within there or designs, photos, and articles. Now, if there's any of those that you saved to My Gallery and you don't want any more, you can simply click the remove button and it will remove those. So you don't have to recreate the My Gallery. You can simply edit it and make changes. So let's talk about why you would do this. Just think of it kind of in a sense like an e-commerce site. You're adding things to a shopping cart, but instead of a shopping cart, you're adding it to My Gallery. And you have a client, the client has reached out to you, you had a conversation with them, that client has said, I'm interested in a booth XYZ at this particular price point that has these particular features. And do you have anything that you can show me? So you're going to go into exhibit defined search and you're going to then do the searches that we've talked about so far today. You've gone through those searches, you've gone and you've saved those to My Gallery. You've saved not only kits, but you've saved some photos of some of those kits. In addition, because they said for whatever reason is I'm new to trade show marketing, or do you have any advice for me that you can assist on how we can be more successful at the next show? You've saved articles too within there. Now, here's what you do next. You're clicking on the Send My Selection. Every time you create a My Gallery, it creates a unique URL. So this URL is EDS Classic Exhibits My Gallery View 12356 whatever on there, that unique URL. Now, at that point, you're going to copy that URL and you're going to paste that URL in your own email program. You're not sending it through Classic. You're sending it through your own email program. So when the person gets it, they're getting it directly from you and from your email address. When they click on that link, it's going to give them a version of what you're seeing right here so that they can see it. Now, keep in mind here is this will give them the details of those. It kind of gives them a summary and then they can click on it. What really works well at that point is this is one of the most amazing things about My Gallery is at that point, they can remove items from that My Gallery. They can remove items, they can add items, and it all works off that particular URL, meaning that if they update the gallery that you sent them and you have this URL and you refresh that URL in your browser, you're seeing all the changes they made. Or they can see all the changes that you made. This is a live, ongoing URL that's editable in real time between the two of you. Now, in this particular case, you're getting at My Gallery and it's coming from this particular address. Now, if you're in the unbranded one, for instance, let me just add this here, and you go into My Gallery, in that case, you're getting the unbranded URL. There's no reference of classic exhibits within there at all. It's exhibit design search, My Gallery view, whatever. If you're in a branded version, let me get up there just a second. If you're in a branded, oops, I'm being hidden by my controls here, just a second. If you're in a branded version, for instance, and we add that to My Gallery, and you go into My Gallery, you'll notice that the URL is the branded version of that URL. So if you have a branded version and you're grabbing that URL, it's not only coming from your email address, but it's also visibly referencing your company in that particular URL. Now you can make as many changes as you want within it. You can create as many My Galleries as you want. The one thing that you need to remember though is whenever you create a My Gallery, in order to create a new My Gallery, you have to clear it. Now, does that mean that it's disappeared and gone away? No. This URL is still good. It's still on a server out there. The only thing that it's done is it's cleared the cookie off your particular computer. So the URL is still valid. You want to save that URL, but the moment you hear clear My Gallery, it's no longer the same cookie on your particular machine. All right. So Gina, did that? You feel like that answered his question?
I think that was very helpful. I think that he followed up, and he is suggesting that it would be great to add a tag function to the search, if that
And what?
makes sense to
And
you.
I don't know what would be a tag function.
That I do not know.
Okay, if he can follow up on that, I'll be happy to answer it. Now, I can tell you at one point we actually had the My Gallery send from this function. But for whatever reason, it kept getting blocked in filters out there. There was some messiness that happened to it, which is why we restricted it to just be able to create the My Gallery URL. Now, the client can actually reach out and contact you on that. They can say, okay, in addition to this, I've created this my selections, or you have, or let's say the client has created their My Gallery on your site. They can also simply contact you as well. When they send this contact information, again, if it's on a branded site, it's going directly to the person who's the designated contact at that particular distributor. And it's also including this information about that particular saves that they've made within My Gallery. All right. Did he follow up about the tag, about what that means, Gina?
No, he hasn't, but I sent him a message to reach out to you directly about this, and maybe you guys could have a conversation.
Okay. All right. All right.
Well,
All right.
I'm not sure if you saw this. He just wrote individual elements can be, quote, tagged to select them. For example, I only want to see islands with conference rooms.
I
Okay.
only want to say again, Harold, I only want to see islands, what?
Yeah, individual elements can be tagged to select them. For example, I only want to see islands with conference rooms.
Ah, okay. All right. So no, currently what we don't have is a secondary menu where if I'm understanding the question correctly, where let's say there was a secondary menu over here that says, I want to see 10 by 10s. I want to only see ones that have light boxes. I only see ones that have shells. That it has a series of check boxes on the left. So you only see those items that you've checked off on there. Currently, EDS does not have that particular function. I would love to have that function on there. It just requires more programming in EDS than's currently there. But again, it's a great suggestion. But no, EDS does not have that functionality at this point.
Okay, Mel, two
Yep.
things. Number one, you've got 15 minutes, sorry. And Bill has asked, is there a way to limit search to certain products? For instance, if I know the client wants SEG, could I only yield results that show segue?
What's funny on that question is there used to be a gallery. We used to have a gallery a long time ago. I'm going to say 8, 9 years ago. That was only SEG designs, just SEG design. But because SEG designs became 90% of what we did, it no longer made any sense to do just SEG. Yes, there are some pillowcase designs within there, and there are some with Velcro, but the vast majority of the graphics that you see that are fabric graphics that you see within EDS are SEG. So to answer the question, yes, we used to do that until if you did a search, it would come up with 1,397 designs.
He used SEG as an example. How about if you want to look just symphony?
Yes, you can. So if you go, I'll show you how to do it. If you go into advanced search, for instance, and you go into advanced search and you don't care about the price range, and you don't care about the sizes, you can do what I want is, in fact, I've done it many times. You can see it there. I want Symphony, and I'm going to uncheck all, and I'm only going to check where Symphony is. I know Symphony is in 10 by 10 portables, and it's in 20 by 30 portables in budget, so I'm only going to click those. I'm going to hit search, and come on, and, oops, sorry, I'm doing search. And so at that point, it's only showing, it gave me 93 designs, and these are only Symphony designs within there.
Great.
Now,
Bill, if that doesn't make sense, reach out to me afterwards and we'll go over that.
I am going to show you one more little trip here. You'll notice when you did that, and you see it's got the heading there. If you want to send this to a client, if you eliminate within there, show search, I'm going to delete that, and I'm going to hit enter again. It will eliminate the search parameters, and you'll just see the actual search itself. And then you can send that URL to your client. Right? All right. Let's go back to the homepage. I want to do a dive into a particular kit just for a second. So let's go into the VK 1971, for instance. You'll see that this is the 10 by 10 exhibit. It has a retail price of $12,600. Obviously, you've got the My Gallery on there. It's rentable, and it's also backlit. If you go into that kit, first thing you're going to see is a series of renderings. The renderings go through a rotation, so it's showing you various angles of that particular one. It's also going to show you, in this case, it's a reconfigurable one, in that it can be a 10 by 20, but you're seeing how it packs on there. There's also a See Photos link right there. Now, we've already talked about P5D, and one of the great things that we did within P5D is we linked the photos back to the kits themselves. So in this particular case, on this kit, if you click on See Photos, it's going to show you examples of that kit that we have put in P5D on there. Now, why is that important? And I'm going to say it's important not for the reason you may think, in that the client can actually see that it's been built. That's nice to know, but everything in EDS has either been built or it can be built. I think the most important part about seeing the photos is it's a great way of sharing how other designers have actually done the graphics for that particular kit. And it's a good way, particularly on designers who don't have a lot of familiarity on 3D design, so that they can see what may work for their company and what may not. Most designers, graphic designers in particular, may have only worked on a handful of 3D designs in the past, and this is a good example to be able to go through and say, I would suggest you do this. I would suggest you don't do this. And it really gives them ideas, and this one of the nice things about P5D and the C photos within there. Now, if the C photos isn't there on a kit, that doesn't mean that we haven't built it. It just means that we didn't feature it at some point in P5D. All right, below that, you're going to see the prices again. You're going to see the rental price on this particular kit. And then you're going to have a series of bulleted details that detail what's exactly in that kit on there, along with the links if you want more details about the backlit counter or you want information about the cases in there. Now, we typically operate almost on everything as what you see is what you get, with some exceptions. Part of those exceptions is that price does not include flooring because we don't do flooring. If we're showing rental furniture, it's not including the price of the rental furniture. You're going to have to add the price of the rental furniture within it. In almost all cases, though, it includes exactly what you see within there, all the graphics and all the crating. If you go into the counter section, the crating or the casing may not be included because we found over time people pulled that out because it was being included in something else. So it didn't make sense to put the price of the crate or the casing in there. It's going to show you how it's assembled. There may be a video on there. There may be an audio link on there that's a 45-second audio clip about that particular product itself. You go up, you're going to see the lead time. This ships in 10 to 15 business days. If you click on it, it's going to give you details about what lead time means. And as you know, lead time means from the moment we get the PO from you to the moment it leaves our dock. That's the lead time that's shown on there. You can link to see more similar 10 by 10 displays or products within that category. There's an unbranded product sheet here about that you can click, you can download, you can brand if you want with your own branding. There's also contact information and information about working with a designer on there. One of the things that's on here, there is a buy button. That's not an e-commerce button. If you click on that, basically, it's telling your client, over the years, we've learned that purchasing the ideal display takes more than one click. You have questions, we have questions. Together, we'll ensure that the display you choose reflects your marketing goals. It's a contact page for them to get in contact with you about talking about that display a little bit more. There is a print button here. The great thing about this print button, and I really want you to remember this, is if you click that print button, it's going to print this page exactly as you see it. We've all experienced trying to print from the browser and you get 4 or 5 jumbled up ugly pages that you can't share. The nice thing about this will print exactly what you see on there. Within that kit, there's going to be a description tag that translates what you saw in details into a paragraph, along with features and benefits. There is an accessory tab that's showing you some of the accessories that are available, not all the accessories by any stretch of the imagination. And then there's a specs tab. That's the one you're going to use the most in addition to details. It's going to give you a link to the setup instructions, a PDF. It's going to give you a link to the graphic DIM. It's going to give you a link to information about fabric options, frequently asked questions, the product warranty, more information about the lead time, what exhibit weight means, not the exact exhibit weight means, because that changes depending on how it's shipped, and the level of service, and then electrical and cord management. So this tab and this tab are the 2 tabs that you're going to use by far the most. If, for instance, you're in the specs tab and it doesn't have setup instruction, it says something along the lines of request setup instruction. If you send an email to project management, they can almost always get you the setup instructions or graphic DIMs within 24 hours. Unless it's a brand new kit and hasn't been completely detailed, it may take a day or 2 more. But even then, they can usually give you close enough dimensions that the graphic designer can get started on that. All right. Do we have any questions about that? Anything? Harold or Gina?
It says, this is not a question, but a comment. The EDS search is amazing. I'll start you. Well, Gina Yule loves EDS. That's nice. No question there. But as we're winding down, Mel, you have just about 5 minutes left. I just want to throw this out. Mel's going through this really quickly because of limited time here. If you've got follow-up questions, send them to Mel, Gina, or I, or for extra credit, if you want to pull your company together, Mel does this individually for various companies. When you pull your company together, he'll do it just for you guys. Just planting that seed with you.
All right. I'm going to show two other things that are not part of EDS that I think you need to know. And let's go there. If you're on the home page or any of the pages that's not Exhibit Design Search on the Classic site, and you go to the footer, there's a lot of really great tools down here, like an image resolution calculator, a drayage calculator. There's lots of tools down there. I want to point out two in particular. One's called Peekabooth on there, and the other is search for setup instructions. So let's do Peekabooth. So if I clicked on Peekabooth, it's going to take me to this page. If you click on this page, it's then going to bring up, and it's going to ask you for a username and password. And you can get the username and password from your project manager. It's going to bring you to this page. When you click on that, I'm crossing my fingers that everything will work perfectly here today. There are 7 webcams in the Classic facility, 4 in the purchase staging area and 3 in the rental staging area. This is going to take you to one of the webcams. So if you want to see, let me go back here. Let's go to this one. If you want to see what your project looks like on the setup floor, simply ask the PM for access to Peekabooth. And when you're in Peekabooth, then you can then navigate, and they can tell you which camera to use. You can navigate within there. You can zoom in, and you can zoom in to your heart's content. You can take a photo of it. It is an amazing tool to be able to see your projects on our floor at any time, and you have complete access to that. All you need to do is get the username and password from your particular PM. But this is a great way, whether it's you or your client, where you can see it. Now, the thing about Peekabooth, though, if there are multiple people on a camera, you're kind of fighting for the camera at that point, but that doesn't happen very often. All right. So if you're down in the base if you're back in the footer, there's that search for setup instruction. If you click on it, it'll take you to this page. The thing about this page is any setups on any job that we've done for the last 18 years are in here. So if you know the job number that you have and you want to get your setup instructions, you simply go to this site, enter that job number. Let me go to this one, for instance, ORD. It's going to pull up those setup instructions and allow you to download them. This is a great tool if you just want the setup instructions. Your client has lost it, your client's at a show and can't find it. For whatever reason, if you need the setup instructions of a project you've done in the past, it's all online, it's all in a database, it's all accessible to you without a username or password. All right, anyone who wants to stay longer and has questions, we're happy to answer the questions for them.
So this is just a comment. We add new designs to Exhibit Design Search every week. And so that's why I really think that the being able to sort by newest designs within each gallery is phenomenal. So you can really see kind of the latest and greatest designs at the very top of the page when you go in and sort in that way.
Another thing I love is, as a salesperson, you can pick your favorite 10 by 10s, your favorite 10 by 20s, and create a My Gallery link that can stay on your desktop. So you can keep popping out your favorites, change them, modify them on a regular basis without doing it one at a time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and here's an example, as you said, Gina, of I've just sorted within Modern Inline Designs of the newest designs, and those are all the newest designs, the latest and the greatest that are in there. All right, if there are not any more questions, I just want to, on behalf of Classic Exhibit, thanks everyone for attending. I know we crammed a lot of information in 1 hour. I sincerely hope that it was helpful. If you want further information or education about EDS, as Harold said, please reach out to us. We're happy to do an even deeper dive within EDS. We showed you probably 60% of it, but you didn't see the other 40%. There is even more features and tools within there that we just couldn't get to on those particular features and benefits that are on there. Please let us know, and we're happy to do that. We did record this, and it will we'll add it to our YouTube channel here in the next 3 or 4 days. If there's someone in your company that wants to watch this afterwards, just redirect them to our YouTube channel. We'll probably send a reminder, an email reminder out to the group too. All right.
Thanks, everybody.
Yes, thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.